Welcome to the Early Years Spark podcast. I'm Tati Bueno and this is my friend
Konstantina Moustaka.
And today we're talking about speech, language, and communication and what are the key strategies to support early development, the areas of development that are impacted by communication, and I'll give you a spoiler, they're all of them. So stay tuned and listen to our conversation about it. Today we're going to talk about speech, language, and communication, which is the foundation for a lot of the other areas of development. And it has been such a huge topic, especially after COVID in early years. Because we've been seeing children with delays in communication as a result, one of the results of COVID, right?
Exactly, yes.
So should we talk about first the holistic development of communication and language and how it influenced the other areas? Then we'll start with the basics.
Yeah, definitely. Because it is, you can see that how much it influences every other area and how much you can see it in other areas when the children play. Through the use of speech, language and communication, children are getting the skills they need to express themselves, start communicating with others, develop friendships, which is what personal, social and emotional development actually is as well.
Yeah.
As they expand their vocabulary, they learn the vocabulary of emotions, the vocabulary of feelings. So they put it in their language as well. They use those words with their friends, with their teachers, with their parents. And they can then communicate how they feel to the people around them in this way. They become more able to manage those feelings as well by expressing it and putting it into words. Also through the language, they can express what they like, what they don't like, and they talk about themselves and they develop that sense of self that we say in PSCD as well. So it's really, really important to use language all the time with the children when we talk about feelings, emotions, when we see them, expressing them, even if they don't use language and they use facial expressions, to us comment on what we see so that they get that language, they get used to it, and then they use it themselves in their lives.
And that can start as early as birth.
Yes.
Right. Because as they grow older, what are you talking about, the expressing feelings and understanding and managing, a lot of what a lot of people call tantrums, what we call dysregulations.
Yes.
A lot of that comes from the frustration of not being able to communicate what they're feeling, or the ideas.
Exactly.
Which is why it's very important to give them the language so early. I'm a big enthusiast of the use of Makaton signs, even before the age of 1, while they're still babies, because babies learn gesturing a lot earlier than the language and develops, right? So then if you teach the babies the signs, they can communicate to you what they're feeling, if they're hungry, if they want milk, if they want water, if they're finished, they feel satisfied and all that. And I've seen that firsthand when I was working in the baby room and in my own personal life with my niece, that at 7 months old, she could use a sign for more because she wanted more food.
Yes.
And so a baby in the nursery wanted more milk, so she used a sign for milk. So that really helps. So things that we sometimes underestimate can have a huge impact on a child's life.
Yes, and it's very good for us when we use the Makaton to use the word
as well. Yes, because it has to go hand in hand.
Exactly. As practitioners, as parents, we need to use the words as well. So they listen to the sound the word makes for later on, but they also learn the sign, so that the symbol, so that they can, the gesture, so that they can then
communicate. And also remember to slow your speech a little bit and really articulate, because they will be watching your mouth.
Exactly.
To understand the mechanics of the sound, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, with babies, moving on to physical development and how that links to speech and language and communication, when they start sitting independently in an upright position, the baby's physical speech structures and the physiology then is in an ideal position to promote the sounds, the speech sounds. And then when a child stands up and walks around, they get more chances to interact with others and with the environment. So it's very linked to how the body is like developing as well. And using language, older children are also able to communicate their physical needs, if you think about it.
Yes,
say about
absolutely.
the toilet, I want to go to the toilet. Or also communicate to others any other need that they have.
Like, they're tired, they're hungry.
Exactly, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm thirsty. So we can see it in the physical development as well a lot. And of course with older children, when like they're in the garden and they play, all the explorations they are doing and they are having, language is there everywhere, all around.
Yeah, because sometimes we can think that the physical part of it is just how like the facial muscles, the mouth muscles and tongue and all that to make those sounds, but no, it's so much beyond that, right? It's the whole body that's involved. It's like the diaphragm to make the sound and push the air, and how much they're breathing between the sounds and the words and all that. So all of that plays a huge part in the communication, right?
Yeah, exactly. And how language develops, yes.
Yeah.
True. Of course, it's all the other areas that we're not calling them prime, but they are still important. They are still there. And then if we see how it influences, let's say, reading or writing, through learning to distinguish and learning the sounds in general, the children can then engage into that reading and writing. And through storytelling and reading stories, they can then develop reading skills. They're also making marks that they link to sounds and to words that then will develop into proper writing, let's say. So they are talking about what marks they are making, they're talking about the movement they are making. So lots and lots of vocabulary that then they will also turn it into proper writing.
Yeah. But that also very linked with their creativity and expressing their own ideas. So it's hand in hand with expressive arts and designs, because they're using the vocabulary to understand the marks that they're making and the ideas, what they want to do, the stories they want to tell, not just the stories that they're listening, and then relating all that to the world that they're in and what happens in their lives.
Exactly.
Right?
And if you think about it, art is a way of communicating by itself.
Yeah.
Like when making a painting or a drawing or a picture, and they explain what they did, how they use the materials to make the arts and crafts, talking about the textures, describing. It's all about talking and using the words and learning that vocabulary related to arts and singing as well, because it requires memory, which is part of the language development. Making up their own songs is also like a way of putting words together, but in your own way, not having them already in your mind to create something new. Dancing.
Yes.
Because it's also linked to body language, since it is a way that our body expresses how we feel at a particular time.
Yeah. You mentioned body language, and I just wanted to jump in because that's also a form of communication that we don't really explore as much, and we forget sometimes. So it's really important to use facial expressions and how your body moves when you're saying something fun and exciting, and then your arms move, especially you, the Brazilian, the hands go everywhere.
Yeah, Greeks too, by the way.
And then when you're upset or you're cross, and then you're frown. So all of that also is teaching them how to communicate, because I can say that, oh my God, I slept really bad last night with a big smile on my face.
Exactly.
It just doesn't happen naturally. Yeah. So that body language is a very important tool that we have as well.
And what a great opportunity is when you read stories with the children,
Yes.
Parents or practitioners, when we read stories with them, how important it is to change the sound of our voice, but also to use those facial expressions, as you said, and the movements and the gestures when we do it with the child.
Yeah, and it can be tricky, especially when we're tired at 7:30. It's been a uphill battle to put the children to sleep. We're in the fourth book of the night.
Yes.
But it is still important to like change the voice. And like a character has a voice and a different character has a different voice, and to bring the story to life, and they understand that people talk differently as well.
Exactly. And before you mentioned exploring the world around as well. So if we also trying to figure out where language is in terms of understanding the world, it's everywhere. Yeah. So children use language and get their new vocabulary by exploring the world around them, by first like hands-on experiences, going to the shops, visiting the library, how many different kinds of words they can hear.
Or even at home, like if you talk to your child about everything that you're doing at home.
Exactly.
So there's so much vocabulary. So it's such an enriching experience there.
Exactly. And also technology.
Yes.
That is definitely linked to language as well. Because sometimes children use, in their play, they use the phones to pretend. I'm calling my mama, my daddy.
I'm working.
I'm working. Yes, I'm working. That's the trend these days.
It is.
I'm working. I'm busy. I'm working. They're talking to a loved one, as we said, when they play.
Yes. A lot of FaceTimes at the moment as well.
Yes. Yes. And even for a little bit older children, they use language on the computers to write and listen, to find something interesting. So it's everywhere. Everywhere. It's very, very much related. And that's why it's so important.
Yeah, amazing. Should we jump in then? How can we support the children to develop their communication skills? What are the main things that we need to do to support them?
Like mainly, if you think about a nursery environment, let's say, we need to think to create those spaces that sometimes we call them hotspots. That hotspots in terms of language, in terms of children going there and start talking about things and they can't stop.
Yeah.
Including like providing also emotional warmth and the space where children can feel supported to express how they feel as well. Like play, use that language, but also be safe in that environment. And making also time for talking and listening, and for children to explore their thoughts and to explore and become absorbed in their play, get like really into it, and not just like give them time, do not rush. And I know sometimes we are rushed as practitioners because we have thousand things to do. Yes, and the routine as well. But we need to give them that time to express themselves and that time to really get into the play in terms of language.
And bring that to even to babies. Is just responding to the sounds that they make, right?
Oh yes, so important.
Because the conversation starts there, like just responding to the sounds and being silly. Keep encouraging. You have no idea what they're saying before they turn 2.5. It sometimes can be quite tricky to understand what the child is saying, but you just keep encouraging. Oh yeah, tell me more about it then.
Yes.
Oh, what happened? Really?
Yes, exactly.
Just keep the conversation going.
Exactly. And if we think about it, children are the experts in their lives, aren't they?
Yes.
They know everything about their lives.
Yeah.
So listening to them can challenge what we believe is true from our perspective, and can give us a better indication of what they are capable of. So we need to give them that space and time to talk about anything they want to. And then children feel that they matter if you listen to them and if you pay attention to what they say. When we respect their ideas, when we respect their feelings, their abilities, then their confidence grows.
Yeah, but when you talk about it's active listening. It's eye contact. It's participating and asking questions, and then because sometimes it happens a lot to us that we plan an activity and then the children are like, yeah, no, not into this. And then you just follow what they will communicate with their behavior or or even with their language or they have the language to tell like, I don't like this. Like, okay, so then how can we make it better? And then give them the chance to think about, because then we are also fostering critical thinking.
Yes.
Like,
and if you think about it, when children start communicating and using that language, they can describe also how they feel, what they want, and then they begin to consider other people's feelings, which is very important too, their needs, their wishes. They can also start negotiating, compromising about things, which is also very important.
Yeah.
And when children and adults work together and communicate in such a way to solve a problem, let's say, because you mentioned something about problem before, then we have what we call sustained shared thinking. Like thinking together and working things out together, and is that communication between us and the children. It's really important as well.
Yeah.
When we listen to them, they can then talk through their emotions, their feelings, and then we have a little door there that opens to what we call self-regulation, yes? This is the way to go. And children are more likely to talk about things that worry them, including like deeper things like safeguarding things, like child protection things, when they know that their voice is heard, when they know you're there for them and they trust you and they feel safe, there is a better chance that these things will come out as well. And we want these things to come out so that we protect the children then. Yeah.
Yes,
so important
absolutely.
as well. And another thing that happens is also they think of the consequences of their actions. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? As well as what is possible, what is not possible, and why is it possible? So it's all those
Where
things.
are my boundaries?
Exactly. Where do I stop? Where do I start? Yeah. And then, of course, we have pretend play and imaginative play and small world resources like farms and garages and animals and open-ended materials like loose parts or like activities such as painting, exploring, music that can develop that creativity that we said before and problem solving. And these, you can see so much language coming out from these when they are engaged in those activities. I find like home corner is the place to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, or that area, let's say, that has all the home stuff and the kitchen stuff.
Yeah.
So much talking is going on there.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's quite funny how, while they're little, like turning about 2, it's all about reproducing what they see.
Yes.
So like there's a lot of baby chinos going around, a lot of coffees. Drink.
Have some, please. Yes.
Cooking and just baking, putting things in the ovens. But then when they go to preschool, there's a lot of taking orders. They're at the restaurant.
Yes.
They're taking orders.
The menu.
What would you like? This is the menu. Yes.
Even prices. Yes. Exactly. And when we link it to the small world that we said, a great way to do that is, I remember the best of the best, Alistair Bryce Clegg, when he said that you can make those mini-me's and like put the pictures of the children in just a tiny block or something, and then include them in that play because it's them represented in a small tiny figurine and bringing their life in their play a lot easier. And it's fantastic how much it works. It's really, really nice. Mostly like with preschools that I've tried it. It works wonders.
Yeah, with my little ones, it's more having their pictures on the wall.
Yes.
And then they'll come with the pictures and they just put, this is you, and saying their friends' names and giving everybody and bringing out the teachers' photos to us and then talking about their own things. Yeah.
But that's nice because it's language as well. Like it's communicating how they feel about different things and about it.
And it's quite funny when we were talking about the sharing and taking turns, because that's and the regulation. We start hearing a lot of 2 minutes, because I want something, but my friend has it. 2 minutes. I have to wait 2 minutes. My turn. 2 minutes. Because they still don't have the concept of time. Yeah. But they know if they say 2 minutes, someone else has to wait.
Yes.
Or they have to wait, and then
so it's the first concept of time, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's like they get the language of it, and then progressively
they will understand what 2 minutes really means, like how much is it. Yes,
they will make the connection. Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
So everything starts in communication.
Yes, definitely. So important.
Something that's very important, we were talking about how we've been seeing a lot of delay in speech and language communication since COVID. So what signs should parents and carers and practitioners be looking for if there is a delay? Because sometimes we have nothing to compare, but we also say to everybody, don't compare your child, because every child's unique and will develop in their own time, because the environment matters, the amount of languages spoken at home also matters, in how long it will take for them to develop, and everybody's different. But when should we start being concerned about delay, and what should we be looking at?
I think it's a whole big conversation that we're going to elaborate on another time possibly, but if we want to just start mentioning things, we need to begin with how important it is to identify something that is there. Like, there are specific things age-wise and specific steps that we want the children to have and we want the children to be at. And then if we feel like they're not there, we need to see, is it just a little bit of developmental delay but not that major and it will come? Or is it something that we need to be alert and like we need to be doing something about? And then identifying it early in a child's life can help that child improve sooner than later, because our worry is when they get to school and they start that big next chapter, what is going to happen and how that delay will affect their learning, will affect their reading, will affect their behavior, their social interaction.
But I think even a different perspective is just the longer you leave something, the harder it is to correct it. Correct's not the best word, but like to support and to change it.
Yes.
So the earlier you start, the easier it is, because it's not a habit, is not a muscle memory yet. But if you leave it for the next year, waiting until they turn 3 or waiting until the school will sort it out, it's gonna get harder and harder, and then that will be detrimental to the social skills, their confidence, and they're making friends, and then the learning, all the academic learning that will go. And that will happen in school, right?
And that's what we say, how important are early years.
Yes.
Because
it starts here.
Yeah, we find things, we see things, we can do things to help those children later on. Absolutely. And the sooner we do it, the better.
The better.
As you said,
Yeah. What are some key strategies to support the child's learning and expand their thinking?
In terms of language, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So we can say there are like around 10 strategies that are really, really important for everyone to know. And we can start with following the child's lead. The other important thing is being at their level when you talk to them and when they talk to you. Maintain that eye contact, so that they know you're interested and that you care and that you are listening to them.
And being at their level, you mean like just kneeling down or going down to their level to maintain
get
the
that
eye
contact. Yes.
Yeah.
Because we as adults know how important that is when someone is talking to us to use that, like the eye contact, to nod as you're doing to me now. So it's very important to have that interaction between the two people.
Yeah. It's the active listening that we were talking before.
Exactly. We need to adjust the language we're using to be at the same level or slightly above as the child's. Like we cannot talk to like a 2-year-old the way we talk to a preschool child, let's say.
Yeah.
We need to adjust, do those adjustments. We need to wait. That's a very hard thing to do. I know.
It
but
is.
We need to wait for children to respond.
Because we also have to remember that the synapses that the brain's making.
Exactly.
So the connections of listening and then processing and then understanding and then what is the appropriate answer and then finding the words and then giving an answer. So that'll take about between 10 and 20 seconds for a small child to process all that information.
So that's the 10-second rule. We say give them 10 seconds before you say something different. And of course, modeling language by clearly repeating back what they say instead of correcting. You just repeat, you're not correcting. And then we expand by adding an extra word or an extra phrase if we want. So we model and we say exactly the same what they say, but we also add an extra word to expand that vocabulary.
Yeah, so in practice, it would be if a child is learning to speak now and has only one word, can say one word at a time, then if they don't say the word correctly, we just repeat the word, the right sounds.
Exactly.
And then once you feel that they're confident, you use that word plus one more. Yes. And then once the child starts using 2 words together, and then you add a 3rd word. Exactly. And then you keep adding. And one of the things that I learned with speech and language therapists was that you need to use a lot of verbs. So use action words.
Yes.
So they can start building the sentence structure and the grammar.
Of course.
So give them a lot of action words. So structure 1, 2, 3 words or more as they go, but give them a lot of action words. Model a lot of action words.
Exactly. And then you expand the vocabulary and giving them, as you said, those longer sentences to then form it themselves when the time comes. We need to offer choices.
Yes. Very important.
Yeah, very important. Mostly in cases where vocabulary is limited.
Yes.
Or when the child lacks confidence, or when we have English as an additional language. But
not too many choices, because that confuses the child.
Yes, exactly.
So we usually recommend giving the child a choice of 2.
Yes.
And also give a choice that will have the outcome that you expect from the child, so you set them up for success. So if a child has to change a nappy but doesn't want to give up playing to change a nappy, so you're coming to change nappy now, do you want to come skipping or jumping? So then they have the choice, and then it's now that I gave an action word.
And you are controlling it also.
Exactly.
Which is important, yes.
But they are having the feeling that they're controlling. I can control how I do this.
Because they choose, yes.
Yes.
Exactly. And also, before we said about repeating what they say or giving them that time, it's also making comments related to what they do.
Absolutely.
When they play, when they're involved into something, instead of asking questions.
Yes.
So commenting, I can see you're playing with your cow, let's say. So you just make a comment of what you see, of what they're doing, instead of asking a question.
Yeah, because they don't really understand rhetorical questions. It's just, there's no learning from it. Or you say oh, you're playing with a cow. And the answer is going to be, yeah.
Exactly.
it's like when you're talking.
You can see that.
Exactly, why are you asking me that?
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes you can see in their face yeah, did you not see that? They won't say it, but it's written in their face why are you asking me that?
Yeah. Plus you can interrupt that they're playing that way. And they just like,
Why?
Yes.
I was doing something here.
Yes.
Now I lost it.
Whereas by commenting, they can hear that you're commenting. They can hear that you can see what they are doing. And then sometimes it starts longer conversations about what they are doing because they are then interested in telling you more about it.
Yeah. Or if they're so focused on what they're doing, they know that it's not, you're not expecting something from them.
Yeah.
So they don't need to give you an answer. Like, you made a comment, they're like, yeah. And they move on.
Yes.
Or then they jump in and start telling you more about it.
Exactly.
But it's their choice instead of you interrupting a play to asking an empty question.
Exactly. And we shouldn't forget a key strategy as well, to have fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah? Play with the words, make silly songs, funny voices, all of that, those things that will make them so excited and so happy.
Yeah.
And you get all the laughter coming out, which is great.
Yeah. And also, that's when they start exploring with ideas and characters, and they can see what they're able to do with their voices.
Yes.
And it all becomes a huge...
Exactly. And with the different sounds that they put together and they make silly words, and they're so proud of them.
Yeah.
Those funny words. Yeah, so don't forget to have fun, everyone.
Yeah.
That's the message of today.
Most important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Great. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this conversation about speech, language, and communication. And there's definitely more to come because it's a topic that we can talk about for hours and hours.
Exactly.
And there is a lot more that needs to be covered within the subject. So we'll definitely...
come back to that.
Come back. Yes. Thank you. See you soon.